It's here, the fourth installment of the greatest adventure ever told through the medium of podcast and then comic book. That's right, Authors and Dragons presents Chronicles of Calamity Issue 4 on Indiegogo now! Now that our heroic team are assembled, it's time for them to face off against their most deviant opponent yet, their own ineptitude, and also a demon horse. Funding now on Indiegogo with amazing art and almost as much laughter as there is gore, Chronicles of Calamity brings you a hyper-violent crescendo that you will not want to miss. Have no idea what I'm talking about? Missed out on the first 3 issues? Fear not, Wastrel. We're offering all 4 issues in digital format. That's right, digital. But if you fear technology, as you should, we've got gobs of physical hold-in-your-hands perks available. Gobs of them, I tell you. Go to Indiegogo now to see what ethereal delights await you. Chronicles of Calamity. The legend doesn't shut up.
This is not a test. Don't expect to be impressed. Put on your life vest. Sit down your armrest. It's time to stray from the grind. Don't take my hand 'cause you'll find no peace of mind. Side quest.
Hi there, and welcome to Side Quest, the in-between adventures, sub-adventures. What's adventurous about them? I don't know. Maybe it's a conversation, maybe it's a guest, maybe we play another game. Maybe we get all judgmental on people on the internet. Maybe that. And by we, I do, of course, mean myself, Steve Wetherill, Rick Walteri, and MK Gibson Gibby. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, ready to be judgmental as
Cheers.
fuck.
Yeah. I'm tired of not being judgmental, thank you very much, actually, internet. All this don't judge me stuff. No, that's what I'm here for.
No, that's what the internet exists for. It's porn and judgment, so that's why it's
I
here.
think we're done
Yeah, the
pretending.
second somebody says not to be judgmental, you know some judgment shit is coming.
Did you ever hear the joke about look left, look right, and then you know whatever's coming next is not going to be good or it's going to be great? So
The best. Possibly the best. Yeah, too many people on the internet getting away with being themselves. I'm sick of it. So especially
I want to be
especially
myself.
people-
I don't want to get paid for it. That's the thing. I guess I wish I had more moxie or charisma to like get paid for being myself. Unfortunately, this isn't it. So
I fuck charisma. I want to be better looking. I want to have those good looks where I don't need a personality. I just show up, rip my shirt off, and I get 1 million followers.
I thought that's what charisma was, yeah. The hot tip for you people who want to be a success on the internet, be pretty.
yeah. Because the moment we all found out Chris Hemsworth could actually tell a joke, I think that was it. Fuck that guy. You're tall, you're beautiful, and you're funny. Fuck
Yeah,
that
it's
guy.
overkill. You don't have to do that, mate. You're trying
Jesus,
too
man.
hard.
I know.
Jeez. What kind of childhood do you have, you good-looking idiot?
What do they do in Australia to make you better than us?
But yeah, speaking of good-looking people, I believe this today's judgment is going to be laid on the D&D community, historically the most handsome of people. So,
Without a doubt.
what you got?
No,
I mean, we all play D&D.
There was a time where Steve and I were kicking around ideas. What should we do for a side quest? And we're looking at all these people. There's these YouTube channels that just exist to read Reddit posts. Reading someone else's work and getting credit for it and subs and followers. And we're like, that's goddamn brilliant. I wish we had thought of that like 8 years
Excellent.
ago. So
Yeah, no, as per usual, I've come onto an idea about a decade too late.
Yeah.
And I hate myself too much to take it seriously. So we're going to, what is the premises? Am I the asshole but for Dungeons
and Dragons. So I did exactly what we said. I scoured some internet stuff. I found basically Am I the Asshole version of Dungeons and Dragons stories. I'm going to try to keep these. I try to find short ones so we can get multiple in here and comment because I don't like 30-minute long reads and then stopping to have a conversation because that's miserable. So we'll start off with I think this one's been done on other sites before, but I saw it. It's too good to skip. So let me walk you gentlemen to this And am I the asshole for not letting my Dungeons and Dragons players run a horse brothel? I'm the DM. Exactly.
I wish to learn more.
Go on.
God damn it, shut up. I'm the DM for a party of 9. So needless to say, things get a little hectic. When my party's druid came up with the idea to get them some easy coin, I was caught off guard. My party made it to the largest city in my homebrew world, and the druid asked me if there was a lot of people in the city who had been in the market interested in a brothel, the brothel service. And naturally I said, yes, it's a big city, so assuming he's just going to run a standard brothel. He instead offered to work in the brothel for a day, assuring the owner maximum profit. With a high charisma roll, the owner agreed and gave my druid a room to use for the night. The druid then revealed his hand. This whole time he planned on using his conjure animals in combination with wild shape to summon a militia of horses with the sole purpose of pleasuring the freaks of my city. This shook me to my core. After almost an hour of arguing with my players, who all jumped on the bandwagon against me, my druid told me he was, quote, putting his hoof down and I was ruining his fun. He said if I didn't let him get that bag, he would permanently leave the campaign. Still, I refused, and he stomped out of the room and later blocked my phone number, ending a 6-year friendship. Am I the asshole?
All right. Number 1, a herd of horses in a room. That's impractical. Number 2, getting fucked by a herd of horses, you're just going to die. I don't care how fantastical the scenario is. Number 3, I just want to say right up front, don't fuck animals. All right. I
concur with all 3 of those statements.
Yeah, this is like, it's just a fantasy realm. It's like, yeah, okay, it's a fantasy realm.
I'm going to also say,
home.
As DM, you're the guiding hand, not the not the iron glove of of railroading your players. It's a living,
horse has got
world,
a railroad your players.
Yeah, exactly. It's a living, breathing world, and if part of that living and breathing involves a horse cock in your mouth, then you kind of have to let it happen.
Difficult to breathe with a horse cock in your mouth.
I mean, it's not just saying being penetrated by a horse, but there's also penetrating the horse.
I think that's worse.
If you guys had pulled that in my campaign,
look at me, I'm a centaur.
Exactly. What I would have done is say, well, that is like about 9,000 pounds of weight now standing in this creaky, shitty room, and you fall through the floor to the levels below you. And I would have just ruined it that way. Like, I'm not letting this happen. Like, good on you for trying.
You know something? The dice are king. I'm thinking you let that you make that ruling. One of us rolls a con save, gets a nat 20, and much horse fucking ensues.
I would have just said
in the basement.
In this fantasy realm, you have now invented super horse gonorrhea.
Yes.
See, that's a better way of dealing it. Like, rather than horse cock blocking your players, instead come up with interesting consequences.
Oh yeah, I might have created the basically this. What you did is you created the centaur zombie virus, where now everyone starts morphing into centaur zombie, some kind of like 28 days later scenario involving horse semen. So
I wouldn't make it that fun, Gibby. They'd just have a horrible case of cock rot for the rest of their game. So if you don't keep stocked on ointment, you're just continuously rolling at disadvantage, taking 2d6 necrotic damage or narcotic damage, I guess.
And I might have a roll where the horses get too into it. You wind up with a case of horse cocky, in which case basically you have to roll to drown.
So this is how we get demonetized right off the bat. Like 7 minutes in, this is how it happens. But no,
you brought it up.
I know. This was too good. This screamed our brand as soon as I read this. I'm sure it's been read somewhere else, but man, I needed our take on this.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. The guy may be overreacted, so no, you definitely can't do that. But then the guy blocked his number and never talked to me. And that's somebody who's a little bit too serious about horse fucking. And I wasn't there at the time, so I don't know the vibe. So maybe this guy's saying...
This is a one-sided story. I'm not getting the druid's point of view. It's like, listen, man, okay, we all have little fantasies and a little bit of horse fucking is perfectly natural.
No, I think the DM was kind of like, I know this guy. And I know that he needs to be kept on a leash and not in a fun way.
He lives next to a stable, and he's always talking about how the barnyard animals are giving him the look. And
I mean, there's always a running joke on the internet at the moment that we've repeated on this podcast a few times. It's like, oh, we don't kink shame. Yeah, we do. We do kink shame. I don't believe in hitting my kids or anything. But if one of them came up to me and said, oh, hey, Dad, I've got a problem I want to talk to you about. It's kind of personal. Okay. I can only get hard if somebody's wearing blackface. It's like, at that point, you have to punch the kid, right?
Right.
Because we do kink shame sometimes, and sometimes it's the right thing to do.
There's something like when the kid comes to you and says, "I need to talk to you, Dad." You turn the chair around or do the step over it like Riker from Star Trek: Next Generation. So rap with me, kid, and then you hear that crap. You're like, well, that's on me for not going through your internet browser enough, like checking your history for you.
It's a weird world, and I should have protected you better. This is somewhat on me, but still, I am going to have to slap you just to really drive this message home.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, if they come and have the talk, it's like, Dad, I'm coming out of the closet, all this stuff. That's one thing. If they come to you and they're like, Dad, I crave horsecock. That's the point where you got to be like, son, that's a little weird.
Okay.
I like it went straight to son. This could be goes with a great kind of thing, but it could also be like, for dinner? Question mark? Because I can make that happen.
Oh, thank God, he's just French. I thought this is going to be like a hospital visit.
I don't know what's worse. He showed up with a beret and a baguette and a scarf.
I crave horsecock sous vide.
It's like, well, this is still an issue, obviously, and you might have to slap the kid, but
something. This is that. In that case, it might lead to them being like top chef at like a 3 Michelin star restaurant. Who knows?
God, I can just imagine him recounting, and it is autobiography. The day I told my father that A, I was suddenly French, and B, craved horsecock. I'm remarkably patient, man. You only hit me once.
So, yeah. Now I ran one of my own homebrew games, and I had I had characters that were like, they ended up in a brothel, as things tend to go, and there was a centaur in that brothel, and the female player playing a male wanted some of that centaur D, and I didn't refuse them because I just let it happen. But in a situation like this where you're profiting off of like conjuring horses and bestiality prostitution, like I think there's a line between centaur and horse. One can consent and the other one just has a big weepy eye. So
you definitely have to sort of roll for that. Now, there's no way you're getting away with that without some kind of collateral damage.
Okay, so I'm not an farmer. I don't know this stuff, but I will ask this. Since you brought up consent, do horses? If say you walk into a random field and decide to just grab a random horse cock and start jacking it off, do horses normally object to that?
Well, as the enlightened species, I think you're supposed to say, maybe I shouldn't.
The thing is, Rick, I have no way of knowing. I mean, it's like, do you want me to jerk you off? Nay. Oh, that's a no, I guess. But how could they say yes?
Start randomly jerking you off and get hard and like, shh, don't make it weird. No, it's weird. It's no matter what you do, it's weird.
Also, they'll probably kill you. Horses, they're big animals.
Maybe they'll kill you after.
Maybe they'll kill you if you don't. That's a weird consent issue.
All right, so for the sake of this, is this DM the asshole for shutting this shit down?
No, I get a bad feeling of the guy he's in. I don't mind like dicey, silly things happening, but oh yeah, I have an entire fleet of horses to pleasure the freaks in the town. It's like, you mean you, mate, just you. And it's obviously like a thing you've got because he took it very seriously. And as much as everyone has the right to their kink, you also have a right not to be part of their weird little game if it's going a bit too far. So I reckon this is very much a vibe issue. I suspect he made the right call. So I say not an asshole.
I agree. I say not an asshole.
I am going to dissent and say asshole, but not the only asshole. I'll say there was enough asshole to go around.
No matter how many horsecocks are in the room.
All right, now this one is a not nearly as entertaining, but I still think there's some gold to mine from this. Am I the asshole for refusing Am I the asshole player refuses to create original character? This is from the perspective of the Dungeon Master. I got some friends together to begin a new homebrew campaign. After creating some homebrew classes and races, my players began to create their characters. 2 of my players created normal characters, but the third, let's call him L, created an exact clone of Sam from the Sam & Max games. The other players were understandably annoyed by this, and I talked to L about creating another character. After I asked him to change his character, he went on a rant about how D&D isn't supposed to be about having rules or how he should or should not play. He can be whatever his character wants. We told him that they were fine with the character that they were playing, but at least you have to change the name and the appearance and some of the similarities. Elle refused and asked me to show him the rules where you couldn't be a pre-existing character. I'm now wondering if I'm being unreasonable about this, and should I just have let him play the character he wants? Am I the asshole?
First of all, D&D doesn't have rules. Why are they selling us those books? What's in those books then? Just big letters saying "have fun." Fucking D&D has fucking rules.
Yeah, don't give Wizards of the Coast like ideas for for 6th edition there.
Speaking of, I don't know if you've seen a lot of things, but like the sales are really weird right now of what is the new core rule book. My perspective is someone wants to play that, you need to come in saying, hey, I want to play a copy of this beloved whatever character. Now, I'm not a Sam and Max fan, but if someone came in and said, some emo kid came to my table and said, I want to make the Crow. I know what I got to put up with, but maybe I should tell them, this is not a Crow game. You can play a Revenant character who's got white face and makeup and act all emo if you want, but I'm not going to give you resurrection powers and a bird following you around. But because someone just wants to relive something they've already seen. Happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Arrow of the Gods was basically, a takeoff on like Batman, given kind of an insane, thing. But you still fit it within. It still fits within the story.
Yeah, it's kind of. You could say that it's kind of an ongoing discussion, really. It's like D&D doesn't have to be medieval Europe or feudal Japan. But you do need a kind of very similitude for grounding it. Right. You can't just say, it's like, okay, this is set in 1930 Chicago. We're doing a mobster thing. And then somebody say, okay, well, I'm going to play Buck Rogers. And it's like, no, you have to make it work for the setting. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just...
It's kind of like, and no offense to anybody who's listening who does this, but if you are this person, fuck you. Stop wearing your Star Trek uniform to the Renaissance Fair. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy.
I personally find those people pretty hilarious, just for the record.
Yeah, because I'm pointing like, you fucking asshole. I mean, oh god.
At least it's a troll that makes sense. Whereas you're saying, okay, we're doing like mostly fantasy Europe. It's going to be that kind of vibe. And somebody says, all right, well, I'm making Max from Sam and Max, a 90s video game about a dog detective and his psychotic partner. It's like, A, who the fuck remembers Sam and Max? B, why does that belong in the generally pretty lenient fantasy setting? It doesn't. It's just you could make a little rabbit man. Yeah, no one's going to bat an eye at that.
They're actually a character class now called the Haragons. You can be a rabbit person if you want to be.
You can call him Sam, but what you can't have is just say, oh, and he's the guy from this video game with all these video game experiences, because it's a step too far.
Yeah, it's kind of, it shows a lack of imagination. Like, there's nothing wrong with an homage character. I've done it before. I've seen other people do it before. You can have a lot of fun with that and still make it your own. But when you kind of show up and basically, it's like playing City of Heroes and just blatantly making the Hulk, and it's nothing but the Hulk, and it's just like, okay, dude, that's cool, but what are you really bringing to the table?
And you're missing an opportunity. You've got an opportunity to be creative. The rules will force you to kind of chip some edges off of what you want to be. So you've got to make something like everybody knows what you're doing, but you've made it your own. It kind of forces you to make it your own, which, have some fucking creativity. Yeah. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to have fun and use your imagination, which, if you're not doing that, why are you playing this game?
Yeah. This is why there's this thing called fanfic. If you want your fantasy of you being Max getting railed by Harry Potter and and maybe Gandalf at the same time, sit down and write that story and put it on.
I'm gonna have to stop. I'm gonna ask you to stop going through my hard drive, Rick. But yeah, completely sure where you go.
Yeah, your hard drive.
Quit describing my fan. I can only get so erect, man. Please stop. No, but like Steve had right beginning.
There's a time and place to do that stuff.
Yeah. Well, you can also, like you said, like Steve said, if you establish this game is like, we're doing a tongue-in-cheek game. When we're running the Dicey Bastards, we knew right off the bat, like any sense I wanted to do of telling a real story went right out the window the moment I was involved with the rest of you people. So I knew, but it will lean into the chaos on that particular thing. If you want to make this as a recreate your favorite whatever characters and bring them to this campaign, let's see what happens. It's a fun game. Great. But the DM and the players have to be honest with each other, open. That's part of the discussion, because it's not just the DM's world. A lot of DMs get that God complex, and a lot of players get the I'm going to just do my thing and fuck everybody over complex, or main character complex, which is just as bad. So,
yeah, but nobody, as much as there are anachronisms due to the comedy nature of Dicey Bastards, no one's coming in and like, yeah, I'm a hacker from the Matrix. That's my character. It's just be like, okay. I mean, we probably could make that work. We make a lot of stupid stuff work, but generally it's kind of like, what pool we're in here. Don't be a prick about it.
That could be an amusing character. Basically, my character's insane, and he imagines he lives in the 21st century of this world where people walk around talking into their phones and shit.
Yeah,
there could be a certain charm of that, and still making it fit in. But yeah,
if somebody just says I'm Neo from the Matrix, it's like,
no, you're not.
Well, when you guys are running the Salty Bastards, Metallic Kazam definitely had a different perspective on life than the rest of you all. He played it in such a way that it fit in the world, but he had definitely saw things in a different way than the rest of you. So,
like back in college, and this is where I lose every last cool point I've ever had. I ran an email wrestling league. Where basically every week the participants would send me what their characters are doing. I'd put it together in essentially a giant show, write it up, and send it out. Some characters win, some characters lose, all this stuff. But I tried to keep it in the realm of professional wrestling. And one character came to me and he's like, okay, I wanted to pull out a screwdriver and jam it into this guy's eye socket during the middle of the match. And I was like, you can't do that, because then that character would die. That's just that has nothing to do with wrestling. That has to do with with your character committing an actual crime.
Nightclub parking lot fights, the email campaign, that would work. That'd be fine. But
right.
Yeah.
Backyard brawl fight, sure. But this is, if you're going for pro wrestling league, you can hit him with the rubber, or stomp him over the head with, or beat him over the head with it, or something to that effect. You're not actually going to permanently maim and blind somebody. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm landing on no. I think that player should have tried harder. And again, like the other one, I don't understand this obsession with it's D&D and I can do whatever I want, so I've decided to do something shit that's going to ruin everyone's day.
I would say, if nothing else, like we said before, help. You're not necessarily the asshole per se, but help guide the player to a Sam-like thing. Here's the closest race we have, or species, whatever the term is now, to the thing you want to play. Here's the personality traits you can have, and we know in your heart of hearts that's what you're doing. But just this is how we make it D&D version.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this might have been a case of the DMing trying to explain themselves badly. Maybe they just said no, outright no, as opposed to guiding this player. But it doesn't strike me. Yeah, I'm leaning towards not the asshole.
A nerd not communicating well, you say. I find that hard to believe. But
all right, this one's a little bit mechanic heavy. So I'm going to try to I know we'll get through it, but there's a reason I picked this one, and it's our friend Jorser comes to mind when I read this one, but it's not in the way that you think. All right. Am I the Asshole Character Creation Edition? Hey, y'all. I've been on a D&D kick lately, and I set out to start a new campaign with some friends. During our session 0, one of the players was playing a Warforged Artificer, and he asked the DM if he could have a mithril plate armor for his character, as it made sense with the character's background. The DM, to my surprise, agreed and continued on as normal. The more I thought about it, the more it bothered me. First of all, we're starting at level 1, and second, artificers don't have heavy plate proficiency, so his character physically can't wear it. I approached the player through text, explaining my concerns about it, how it's going to make combat difficult and hard for the DM to offset the balance for us. Basically pointed out that our warlock will have an 11 armor class, but you were going to have a 21 armor class, and that's going to make it using an 18 plus shield plus a Warforged ability. He appreciated me coming with him with concerns, but I got a text the next saying the DM reached out, still gave the armor, still approved the armor. Now, I don't want to be a rules lawyer or anything, but I still don't feel comfortable with this. It breaks the rules in a massive power difference between characters, and we have 2 new players in the group who won't know what to ask for, even though our DM is incredibly lenient. I don't want to ruin the campaign before session 1, but this just feels unfair. For context, I'm playing a cleric with an 18 armor class, so it's not like my character would be the most affected by those stronger attacks, but my overall fear is that we will have a character that will always outperform everybody and outpace everybody no matter what. Am I the asshole?
So I played, so not to say anything bad, but like one of the campaigns I played in a couple years back, it seemed it came across that the DM was always giving one of the other characters the breaks.
Sure,
and as a result,
happens all the
this
time.
character always like felt like he was 10 times as powerful as the rest of us. You know, and as a result, it was just like, you know, it wasn't a case where like, you know, friendships were broken or so, but it was also one of those things where it was like, once the campaign was over, it was like, okay, I'm kind of glad that this is done with. You can't break the game by like, you know, once again, I understand the rules lawyering thing, but there's a certain thing where it's like, you know, hey, this is my character. I cast spells. I have a 12 strength, and I want to wear like, you know, 90 pounds of armor. No.
Right. The reason I brought it up specifically is because in the game that we're running, most of you there are a lot of roguey types, and Moog's got a decent armor class, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of you guys can dodge it, you can evade it, or you can just take the blows. But anything that hits, when it hits Jorcerer, who has no armor and the lowest amount of hit points, he gets, I knock him down more than he's standing up. And we left off in the last adventure, he just fell off a rope and is at 0 hit points. So,
in all fairness to Bob, does Bob even know how many hit points Jorcerer has?
No, he does. We figured that part out.
At the beginning of not Dicey Bastards, of like Salty Bastards, it was like, what's your armor class? I don't know. How many hit points do you have? I don't know.
No, he's gotten better since then. However, I do know that he's got like 11 armor class. He's got 11 armor class and 19 hit points. Because he's a sorcerer, he pulls off the wizard's pool of things, D6. But the rest of you guys are moving through the map, and Bob's standing put in the back of the map. So when the shambling mound appears, it's right behind Bob. And instead of like, he says, I'm not even going to take the dodge action. I'm just going to run. Okay, it's going to hit you. And so little things like that. So that's on the player. In this particular thing, this guy's got a 21 armor class. Okay, but the cleric's got an 18. Sounds like someone's just a little jealous. They want to have the biggest armor class.
I don't know. I
don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, Dicey, we're playing for a narrative, but I can't imagine playing a game of D&D where you're not trying to build a narrative. And I like the fact that the sorcerer in our party is played by Bob, because Bob can play well if he wants, but he generally won't because it's funnier, which makes it more balanced. Because as I've already explained a million times on this podcast, there's no fucking point being a rogue in a fantasy world. You may as well be a tailor, and even then,
I mean, doesn't your rogue know magic?
He's got a bit of bardic in him. His dad was a bard, but yeah, and I like balanced parties. No. It was yeah, I think I've gone through the Angel Summoner versus BMX Bandit argument before, where if you've got a really cool Batman-style character who can do loads of cool stuff if he just has the chance, doesn't matter if your partner is basically God. So yeah, if you're already a Warforged, what was he, a Warlock or something? He's already got...
No, he was a Warforged Artificer, so he makes gear for everybody, so...
Gear for everyone. It's like... You can balance this. You can find a way to like, okay, you can have your 21 armor class, but your movement shit, or you know, your ball shaped. You like that thing out of that. Yeah.
Or hey, you're all level 1 poor motherfuckers, and this like, you know, this Warforged walks up with mithril like armor class. Okay.
We hold him down, strip him. Yeah. We strip him like Clark Griswold's tires in Detroit. No, we're just selling his chest at this point.
Yeah, you're really hard wearing. You're like that guy from Return to Oz. It's like if you go near some stairs, you're just falling down them. If you're on a boat, the boat is sinking. Just you can have fun with it, and I think that's the important thing. If you can balance this into the rest of the party having fun with it, then it's fine. But if it's just a case of like, yeah, you're invincible and all your friends are not.
The person writing this is a touchable rules lawyer. If the DM approved it, then let the DM, trusting your DM, unless the DM after several sessions proves to fail you, then sure, you know.
Yeah, that sounds fair. That's one of those things where it's like, okay, you're complaining before the game even starts.
Right.
It's quite possible the DM is like competent enough to handle this. If you're a couple sessions in and it's obvious that you're all glass cannons where this guy's a panzer tank, then you might then that's the point where you maybe have issues.
Yeah. I can see the potential issues, but you're right. I haven't even started yet. I have a little bit of faith in your DM.
So on this one, I'm saying, yes, you are the asshole, unfortunately.
Yeah. What a total asshole you are. You disgust me.
Also, you're a cleric. Like, which kind of cleric are you? I bet you're the kind of cleric that doesn't even heal people. So, yeah.
If you're such a cleric, why don't you heal that chip on your shoulder, Sonny?
You holy rolling asshole.
Yeah.
Back in 4th edition, man, one of the players in my game would always do this. He'd be like, "Okay, do whatever you need to. I'm going to heal you on your turn. Or on my turn. His turn would come around. Everybody would be waiting for the heal, and he'd be like, "I'm going to try something else." Every fucking time.
See, again, I think clerics are too OP, so I appreciate if the clerics be played badly. It's all about party balance. Got to give that rogue something to do.
Was that aimed at me? Because
No, it's just aimed at the game in general. I've had plenty to do, but I have plenty to do because the rest of my teammates are amusingly incompetent. So, which is sort of, the crux of the podcast. It's our USP.
Yes. Mission through incompetence is one. This next one is less of an am I the asshole? I think they're just saying this player in my campaign is an asshole. So let's listen. Player thought he was the main character. A player of my party had shown up to build a character, then missed out on 5 sessions of gaming. Upon showing up to the following session after missing 5, unannounced, by the way, he complains about us playing without him. We told him that after the first 2 missed sessions, we were not going to wait, and we just started playing again. Well, apparently we had triggered something deep within him to skip over that. Okay, we just triggered a pit trap with a long fall and checked the depth using a magic item the DM had given us. It was about a 150-foot drop. There was nowhere else to go, so I cast Featherfall on the rogue and then myself. The problem player says, I'll just jump down the hole and use my daggers to glide down. The DM tells him that's not possible. It's sheer stone. It's a vertical space, but he rolls for it anyway, using apparently weighted dice and rolling in a very particular way. He gets a natural 20. The DM says it doesn't matter. You fall to your death. And we told him it would have been an instant death if he fell anyway. The best part, the character didn't even have daggers in his inventory sheet. So there's no real am I the asshole in this situation.
I'm going to use my daggers, which don't my imaginary dagger.
Right. So at this point, I think you have a headcanon for the rest of the campaign. You have a lunatic asylum escaped ally who just appears from time to time, like a crazy Kramer character that just shows up and says random shit and leaves. So
there was a great red dwarf bit which I can adapt to this. So a brilliant plan, sir. Stupendous plan, fantastic plan. But for 2 major flaws. The first flaw, you don't have any daggers. The second flaw, you don't have any daggers. Now, I realize that's the same flaw, but I thought this flaw was such an integral part of the flaw that it had to be mentioned twice. But no, I think he did the right thing just by letting him fall to his death. That's the funniest shit I've ever heard.
Despite, apparently he rolled, again, this character also brought weighted dice that everybody kind of knew about, and he rolls a natural 20, and the DM just says, I don't care, you die anyway.
Yeah, somebody's bringing weighted dice to the table, then that's the point where the DM brings out the wrath of, well, whatever fuck you God he wants.
Listen, it's a nerd basement. I'm sure there's at least 3 Conan swords down there. Just fuck this guy up. I mean, just kick him out of there. Like, come on.
If you didn't describe every second of him falling to his death in the most amusing way possible, like this should be Homer Simpson falling down a canyon.
Oh, yeah.
Except stretch it out for longer. Try and make the rest of the session just describing how the guy died, if you can.
So your knees telescope into your abdomen, and your balls come out through your mouth, and then the vomiting starts, and then you cry like a bitch. Oh, the wails of your bitch cries,
Yeah, and don't kill him. Just keep him alive in this horrifically mangled state.
Oh yeah. Just heal one. You're just like,
and he can just
your bones have been liquefied.
This is permanent damage. You're not coming back from this. You're a one hit point.
You're a human ooze.
You roll everything at what I am now calling super disadvantage. Yeah. But main character syndrome. I made a conscious choice in the latest season of our adventures, Dicey Bastards, if you ain't got around it yet, because I played Brandon Firemaster so long, which decision-making wise, because of his philosophy to life, was super easy, because he didn't really care about anything. I thought this time around I'd go for a character who genuinely wanted to be the leader. So that's been more interesting in that the group dynamic means what I want to happen rarely does anyway. But this time, I'm more active in the process of it not happening the way I want it to go. So what I'm trying to say is I don't understand why this guy wanted to be the main character. But
well, I mean, in a situation like this, the idea of like, I'm going to jump down and glide down to my knives. We've seen Errol Flynn. We've seen like anime and like that. This character wanted to do something cool, but let's go back to the part where like he after creating the character, missed the first 5 gaming sessions and then just showed up unannounced. So there's something in this individual. They think they are in life the main character, and a lot of people do it. Not a problem. That's just narcissism. It happens.
That's great. If he just like, even if in the game the character didn't show up until that exact moment and went, "Hey, everybody, look at me!"
And just for
I can live forever.
Just for Steve, I love the fact that Stan is essentially like the party leader of this absolute shit show.
Yeah, I mean, there's never going to be a case where we have a leader and like, oh, well, that's easy. We'll just do what the leader says. That was never on the cards. But I thought playing somebody who actually wants to sort of control the destiny of the party, rather than somebody who was cosmically indifferent to the needs of non-beautiful people.
When we're playing Dicey Bastards, I like when Stan will do something simple, and I still make you roll certain checks for it, just because you've always described it as being older than everybody else. You've played up your age a lot, so like getting up on a stump, give me an athletics roll, and then sure as shit, it's a very low roll. You fall off the stump, pop a hip, whatever, and it's
old man.
It's taking it down a peg, but it's also it's for the funsies, and even with Moog, like, hey, can you get out of this pile of composted dung? Roll it. Nope. Okay, you got out, but you fell right into the next one. That's what the dice are fun. It's fun that way.
Well, yeah, it's like throwing Stan that rope in the last game. It's like, oh, you're missing a hand.
Natural one on throwing a rope, like. Well, also like the brawler, the two-handed fighter losing a hand to begin with, like that's a fun one too. So
we have a history of just being incredibly bad rolls at incredibly good times. I'm glad that tradition is.
Or incredibly great rolls that our friend Blix will then animate, and because they are just, oh my God. And what's weird is like, when Emily sniped that child running away and blew his head off, we didn't even get to see it. Like it kind of like overshadowed. Moog had a great one too, where it's like you froze that kid with a natural 20, like another fleeing one that didn't get animated. For folks, go back to that episode. That was brutal.
It's brilliant. When it comes to sort of like saving our lives and preserving our existence, it's all at once. When it comes to murdering kids, it's all natural 20s, baby.
Well, the
Crimes
gods
against
just don't want those
humanity,
kids to live.
Nat 20.
All right, now this next one's a bit of a long one, and so stick with me. But it's another slight main character, but there's also is this friend of mine an asshole, basically. My best friend joined our group and decided to take things very personally. I've known him for 12 years, and normally he's a great guy, but for some reason, him playing D&D brought out the worst in him and made him a total prick. He's in his late 20s, and his character he played a character that was a teenage girl. We're going to call her Maxine. Maxine was a total asshole character. My friend played her incredibly aggressive and hostile, frequently telling us to fuck off, attack our characters physically, and would take any joke against her as a personal slight on himself as a player.
That does sound very much like a teenage girl.
Yeah, well, he'd make her constantly go off on her own, brood in a corner, have a hissy fit, and not participate if he felt slighted. It dragged us down by keeping things at an incredibly slow pace, as we had to frequently go babysit her. It felt like she liked the attention, so we stopped feeding it. Eventually, we realized it shouldn't be up to us to ensure that he participated. If I ever called on him, he'd say the dreaded, "If it's what she would do." I'd said there's no justification for being an asshole. One major example I could think of was his awful behavior. This person's English because it's behavior with OURs. Anyway,
yeah. Okay.
Now it's automatically void. All right. We decided to go shopping. I played a gunslinger type character and went ahead to go try to buy some bullets. Maxine decided to run ahead and attack my character with a weapon as she ran past me, even before I got to the shop. I then argued that you have no idea where my character would be. She didn't care. The attack continued, but I didn't want to argue. I just wanted to buy my bullets. So once I get to the shop, I spot Maxine hiding. She then confronts me in the shop and shouts and berates me. I buy what I need and try to leave. She then tries and fails to hit me 3 separate times with a frying pan on the way out of the shop. I dodge each hit and could tell that she was infuriated. By this point, I'm fed with Maxine, and I'm fed with the guy playing her. So I pistol whipped her. Natural 20. I leave Maxine unconscious in the dirt outside the shop. He then proceeds to not talk to me in real life for a solid week, saying I abandoned Maxine in the streets. He actually fell out with me as my best friend because of what happened in a D&D session of all things. It genuinely took months for me to get through him that this is a game and he needs to stop taking it so personally. He eventually calmed down, but he doesn't play D&D at all now. He admitted his depression was taking a toll on him and used it as a vehicle for all his negative feelings. There's a lot more of that, but you see at the end of it,
he just admitted he was the asshole.
Yeah.
Seems pretty clear cut. Like, I was in a campaign, and this was one of the campaigns that DM cut short because we were just like all plotting against each other. And oddly enough, the other guy was also playing a teenage girl. He did something to my character where my character wound up in the stocks for like a day or two. So I did something where I wound up like framing the girl's family, which escalated and they wound up being executed instead. But the thing is, even though our characters were assholes, in real life we thought it was hilarious. We were having that's that defining thing of like, yes, it's what my character would have done as long as you leave it in the character. The second you pull it out and you start taking it personally, that's where you really cross that line. Because like asshole in character can be dealt with. Asshole at the table is a whole different thing.
Yeah, and it's what my character would have done goes both ways. Like, this guy decided to play a comedy character who's deliberately annoying. Somebody's playing a gunslinger. I'm assuming it's going to be a kind of a badass guy. Eventually, you're going to push the character into the point where he's going to have to react like his character.
Yeah,
it's like the whole when we were playing the other game, we had this thing where Fandango would throw the fireball, and it's like, well, it doesn't matter if the fighters are there because they can take the damage. My opinion was, eventually, that barbarian is just going to pick you up by your feet and smash you off a tree because you don't just set fire to people. Their patience is going to run out, basically. Yeah. So anybody saying kind of like, yeah, that's what my character would do. Okay, but, you know, that's how it works in the real world. You behave exactly how you want, and then there are consequences.
Yeah, friendly fire happens, but when it's always friendly fire,
eventually you gotta have a talk, right?
Yeah, like Moog hitting Stan with that frostbolt. That was a bad roll. If Moog was just continually shooting Stan, I would expect at some point Moog wakes up with his throat being slit.
And not because it's personal to the players, but it's because if you've got to keep the kind of narrative rolling, you've got to think, why would he just let himself get set on fire all the time?
Exactly.
He's not Wile E. Coyote. There's got to be some sort of natural response here that if you don't take as a player, it just seems like you're not really getting into the spirit of it, right? So
in 4th edition, I had a paladin, and he had this stance where basically he would just stand there and do damage, pretty much doing nothing. And his whole thing was he tended to get swallowed by these giant monsters a lot. But the thing was, he was tough enough where if he got swallowed, he would basically kill them from the inside out. That wound up being that was a conscious choice. It'd be different if, if the other players were just like, we're just constantly shoving you ahead so you get swallowed by these monsters. That's a different thing.
Eventually you're going to take that personally, yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, there's a difference between in character and out of character. Mm-hmm. And you're exactly right. If if the players are sitting around having a good time and the gunslinger pistol whips Maxine and everybody thinks it's hilarious around the table, that's fine. That's in character. If the dude gets mad outside, that's a personality flaw.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's like you said, some players think they're the token mischief makers, that they're the ones they're the agents of chaos. Someone who watched the Joker in the Dark Knight one too many times and thinks they're the funniest fucking thing there ever was. And they bring that energy to a D&D table. And just like real life, just because people play D&D, there are still people who are just outside of a game an asshole, inside of a game an asshole. And they try to bring that in there to think this is their core. So this person playing Maxine, you played a moody teenage girl. Sure, great, fantastic. But I've known moody teenage girls. I've never been stabbed by one. I've never, I have been like nearly stabbed by a guy in England for talking shit while I was drunk about, just English American relations, and might have been during the Revolutionary War. And he tried to stab me with a screwdriver, but that I brought that on myself,
Yeah, no, it's perfectly natural. Yeah. That probably would have happened to you if you hadn't been American, if you're just being annoying.
Yeah.
And also, here's something to think about. When you're playing a character and you've got this character's flaw or personality, trying to think of, like, if you were watching this or reading about this, what would be narratively satisfying? And you getting pistol whipped was narratively satisfying, It's like, you were a really annoying kid who was winding up a gunslinger who then bonked you on the head with his gun. Seems like cause and effect, Why get angry about what flows,
All right, let's see. One more. I'm trying to find a good one here because, unfortunately, I should have left with the horse fucking, because that one really set the tone, and unfortunately, the rest are not as good as the horse fucking.
Well, it needed to be addressed.
All right, so when the DM saves the main character. So I played a paladin that pretty much didn't care much. We had one person in charge of the group who was probably the lover of the DM. The character he played worked for the revival of the Demon King, while the rest of the party tried to avoid that at any cost. The guy, let's call him Ben, played a character that kept secrets from the party, and when we asked, he said, I cannot tell you for your own safety. He did it over and over and over until we had enough. So when Ben tried to go off hunting, I told him we would go with him. So I followed him until he started running away. He came away, so I started waiting for him. At some point, he came back with 2 animals without any wounds. I asked him what he did, and he lied to me, so I got pissed off and started a battle. In the first turn, he transformed due to an ability he got from the DM. Then he tried to beat me down with the words, you have no chance, ... Well, let's just say he took about a fifth of my life away while I downed him. I thought about tying him up and questioning him when he wakes up. Well, joke's on me. The DM says he made a con save with an impossible saving throw. When my character woke up after being surprisingly beaten down, she was tied up in the demon realm, where she was there for over a year's worth of punishment, and she never got to oppose Ben. Talking about a DM's favorite. So I think this is what the person is trying to get at, is sometimes the DMs play favorites. They have a secret backstory with a particular character, and they get away with shit that the rest of the characters aren't privy to. So is the DM the asshole in this, or is the dynamic between, basically, is the person asking the asshole, or is the DM and quote Ben the asshole?
Oh, Ben. Yeah, I mean, all right, they're setting up a story, and if it's got something to do with a payoff down the line that you don't want to ruin, okay. Handled badly though, because you're obviously isolating players and making it look like somebody else is having a more special time. I don't know why you would sort of keep that secret.
Here's the thing. Some players put more into a game than others, and I'm okay with rewarding that. But the second you step in and as the DM and show that favoritism, that's where things get a little bit dicey. I'm a firm believer that yes, the more you put in, you do get some perks and stuff, not necessarily overboard. You don't get to be made a god while everybody else sucks. But at the same time, the dice kind of rule. Mm-hmm. So if the dice say you lost the battle, you lost the battle. Yes, in the case of a TPK, I have found ways to so the party doesn't get wiped. But yeah, that if you're basically saying, oh well, this character made a saving throw he didn't make, and you don't have a narrative reason other than just because, that's kind of assholeish.
Yeah, and if this had been players versus enemy, and he's a little bit lenient on one player in situations than he is on the other, I don't think that's as bad, as long as everybody's having a good time, and as long as there's kind of a balanced payoff to that. But if it's literally player versus player, and this player is being kind of overpowered by a continuous line of decisions by the DM, then it does maybe seem like they're putting one player on a particular pedestal for reasons you don't understand. Yeah, I could see why somebody would take that a little personally.
As well you should. There's situations, I've read some of these stories in the past where, some person writes in on one of these. It was a long one, but I'll give you the gist. Am I the asshole for I worked with my DM. I've been out for a while, but he wanted to bring me in. I was an longtime friend, so he brought me in as a certain type of character, but I was actually a monster in disguise with the party the whole time. And I was supposed to go to a certain point because I was going to be the big bad evil guy by a certain like mid-level point by the time they reach 8th or 9th level, give or take. And one of the players was catching on to certain things that this character was doing. As a warlock, was using rules lawyer. You shouldn't be able to do this. You shouldn't be able to do that. But the person had gotten permission from the DM to do some of these things. But the rules lawyer person at the table caught on, started noticing things. So they just incited the fight early. It was so the DM says, you know what, you're right. You know what, buddy, go to town. And the person transformed and fucked them up. They eventually did win, but it was one of those situations like it was planned for being down the line. So, there's always the rules lawyer who's looking at one or two times someone cast a spell the wrong way or did something the wrong way, but then they start noticing something is up, and everybody questions favoritism. When you're the DM's best friend, it happens. Or when the DM takes a shine to us. I was playing this one campaign, and this we'll just say this one guy was very nice to the one girl who played on our campaign. At level 4, she got a +3 magic bow because she was a ranger. Well, the rest of us got here's your scraps and it's like gruel, you minions.
Well, to be fair, I'm going to put rangers somewhere on the same level as rogue. So,
well, they are. They're forced. They're forced rogues. Also useless.
But again, there's nothing to stop this DM, right? Just if somebody's getting wound up about it, and you can see that, you can just take them aside and go, look, kind of planning something for down the lines. Just go with it for a bit. Trust me. Yeah, I mean, again, I've never really played D&D outside of trying to make a fun show out of it. But I always thought that if you weren't playing D&D like that, it would just be math.
Well, I've played in more serious campaigns. Someone tries to run a Ravenloft campaign, so there are no jokes at the table. It's got to be moody. It's got to be atmospheric. It's supposed to be cold fine. And wet and dark. But that's not how I have my fun. I've played in a few of those games, but even my characters, I try to bring in a little bit of levity in a dark world, and it wasn't well received by the DM. The players had fun because I think, I'm not going to say for everybody, for us, comedy tends to come naturally, especially in these, because some of the dumb things that just happen, you have to laugh at them. You have to laugh,
But I'd say even I say narrative, it has been a dark, serious game. That doesn't bother me. What I don't really want to be a part of is, letter of the law to spite the spirit of the law. It's if what you're doing lends yourself to that storytelling and atmosphere, maybe just go along with it rather than saying.
But also, it's like, if I'm sitting at the table, there's my character, but there's also me.
Right.
And if you're asking me, you Rick cannot tell joke. Rick is going to tell you to go fuck yourself.
Well, I had one of my buddies went, hey, I'm going to run a new Ravenloft campaign. You want to play it? I said, no, thank you. One, I'm busy with everything that we do, but two, I know the style that you want to be in, and I'm not a good fit. You want this to be mega serious. You want hardcore gamers to be part of this who are going to embrace the role and become that thing. And I know that's not who I am at this stage of my life right now. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, we did it. We did basically. I DM'd a Strange Aeons game in Pathfinder, and it was especially the first module, super dark, super moody, all of that stuff. But we were still having a lot of fun around the table.
Right.
You can combine the two and still keep it creepy while at the same time not make it depressing as fuck for the players.
True, yeah. But again, if the mood's serious and dramatic, it's fine as long as you're able to commit to that sense of storytelling and atmosphere building. And if it's just a case of, according to this boring fucking nerd book that we're all supposed to be taking.
Yeah.
I said at the beginning of this, D&D has rules, but they're there to facilitate something. And I think it's the DM's job to fairly facilitate it into a narrative experience that everyone can enjoy.
I had this camp. I was playing my homebrew game, and it started with everybody waking up in a graveyard, but they weren't in the bodies that they started in. I had everybody roll randomly, and they ended up in a different body, and it was fun. So, but every time they died, their spirit would then be reborn into a new body. Because one of the things when you're playing a game, nothing sucks worse than like one of your characters dies. Okay, that sucks. It happens. It's D&D. But then trying to like, hi, I'm, Bob the Second. I'm the other Ranger Paladin, whatever, and trying to get back and trying to re-ingratiate yourself with the party, or you come with a completely different attitude. But I was doing an experiment. What about the mania? What if you kept dying, but you kept being reborn into a new body, but that's not your body? What does that feel like? What does that do with the psyche? And like the players are having a good time with it. Because by level 10, they're supposed to find their real bodies again, but then death would be permanent at that point. So it was, I had this plan and it went on for quite a while. Unfortunately, campaigns peter out over time. It just happens, but you can I warn them ahead of time. This is gonna be a little bit different than what you've played. Just trust me that it'll be fun. And everybody had a great time with it.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, Rick, after you.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying in the first Chronicles of Calamity, the OG game we did, there were a couple of times where Drew had to say, all right, you've managed to basically wipe out your party. You were rescued by a paladin, you fucking bunch of incompetent idiots. But at the time, mainly it's kind of, most of the time, Drew played a very balanced game, but then a lot of the time somebody key to the game wouldn't show up and we'd be fucked. So we had to think on the fly, and there would be these kind of Deus Ex Machina kind of moments. But so what?
It was like during our last game when Drew wasn't there, it's like your only source of healing. I knew the dice weren't going to be on your favor. It's just the dice, but I did skip one map. It was just another fight map because it would just be dead. I didn't want to. I just skipped over that because there's no reason to put you guys through that after like being chased through the literal shit by a shambling mound. Like we can skip another like encounter like that. I can get you to your point of view. But then you fell down ropes and hurt yourself even more, which actually it worked out great. So
yeah, I appreciate that. I gotta be honest. One thing that does annoy me sometimes when I play in real life is it'll be getting late at night. It's like midnight. I want to quit in like 15 minutes and stuff. And the DM will start a battle, and rather than like read the room and be like, okay, you're all tired. No, we're going to do this entire battle the way it was scripted. And it was like, dude, yeah, it's like
that's another 30 to 45 minutes,
Yeah, you got to like do things on the fly and just kind of look at, like, I like to be time conscientious. It's like, okay, it's 11:30. We normally play till midnight. There's a big battle coming up. Let me railroad these guys. It's so that we don't hit that big battle, because otherwise we're going to be here until 2 a.m. and we're going to be fucking miserable.
Or just a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
In our case,
that's the fighting. You see the fight get ready to start, and that's where we end. And then you can pick up the next time, and then when the battle begins, and it's fun.
A handy thing about us doing this episodically. It's like, and there's about to be a huge brawl next time.
Well, that's how I had like the last game I played ended up. It was like late. I was tired. It was this multi-pronged battle of all this stuff going on. I thought we'd finish it. No, we're starting the next thing. And I was like, finally, okay, can we just put a lid on it here? And I was like, you got a really cool map here, but I am not nearly awake enough to appreciate it. I was like, I'm going to enjoy this battle a lot more if we start it again the next time.
If I'm conscious for it, yeah.
If you want me to not hate you, then skip to the next time.
Speaking of skipping to the next time, and next time on Authors and Dragons, that was Side Quest, and that was Am I the Asshole D&D edition. Let us know in the comments or Facebook or our Discord, should you wish to join it, whether you enjoyed this format, whether you'd like us to do it again. Well, let us know if you hated it and want us to die.
If you hated it, it was Steve's idea. If you liked it, it was mine. So,
okay.
And
either way.
This is Steve's not so subtle way of saying he's sick of talking to the rest of us.
I'm done. I got to get back to my real world where we have extra O's and U's. So
that's an hour. That's an hour of quality content. You fucking ingrates. So I enjoyed that. I like dismantling some people who clearly don't have enough real problems in their life. So I guess, if I'm going to lay my judgment down on all of them, you're all assholes. Get a job.
Yeah, you play D&D. At some level, we're all assholes.
Yeah.
Okay, and from myself, from Gibby, from Rick. Well, why am I saying goodbye on your behalf? You can do it yourself. That was rather arrogant of me. Goodbye from me.
I do it for you guys all the time. Bye, everybody.
Authors and Dragons is brought to you under a Creative Commons license, meaning you are free to share this material so long as credit is given to those who created it, which is us, the people you just heard play the game. Opening and closing themes performed by the Gore Core 4.
Authors and Dragons!